Juneteenth marks the day in 1865 when Union troops made their way all the way to Galveston, Texas. And that is when the enslaved people living there learned that they were now free. Mind you, this was more than 2 years after President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. So if you are a federal worker, you should know most of you will get the day off tomorrow because President Joe Biden signed a bill today making Juneteenth a national holiday set to take effect immediately. During today's signing ceremony, Biden made a point of highlighting a 94-year-old woman named Opal Lee, who had spent decades of her life fighting to make Juneteenth a national holiday.
We're blessed to mark the day in the presence of Miss Opal Lee. As my mother said, God love her. I had the honor of meeting her in Nevada more than a year ago. She told me she loved me, and I believed it. I wanted to believe it. Miss Opal, you're incredible. A daughter of Texas, grandmother of the movement to make Juneteenth a federal holiday. On Juneteenth, 1939, when she was 12 years old, a white mob torched her family home. But such hate never stopped her, any more than it stopped the vast majority of you I'm looking at from this podium. Over the course of decades, she's made it her mission to see that this day came. It was almost a singular mission. She's walked for miles and miles, literally and figuratively, to bring attention to Juneteenth, to make this day possible. I ask once again, we all stand and give her a warm welcome to the White House.
Afterward, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee of Texas sent this tweet. With Opal Lee and the President of the United States after signing the historic Juneteenth federal holiday legislation. And Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, a Democrat from Texas, joins me now. What do you want people to reflect on during their time off for this brand new federal holiday?
Well, I think it's very important for us to find an opportunity to be somber, to seek knowledge, and to have a jubilee and a joyful time. What I'm so excited about is those who've never heard of Juneteenth now have a moment of reflection. We have seemingly had an opposition to be able to discuss slavery. We've talked all around it. Even as we discuss H.R. 40, the Commission to Study Slavery and Develop Reparation Proposals, for some reason, people think we should not talk about that period of our life. One thing the president said, a nation shows its greatness when it can also talk about its era, its tragedy, its brutality. In the instance of slavery, it was brutal. So I hope that this will be a unifying day. And it'll begin tomorrow, where no matter who you are, and someone looks up at you, your daughter, your son, and they ask, what is Juneteenth? And you can say what it was, but you can say it's also a day of freedom, and it can bring people together. That's what I hope Juneteenth, year after year, will be.
That makes me think of this controversy, though, over critical race theory. And I've been marinating a lot on why Republicans are obsessed with banning this in schools, even though it's actually taught in law school and in graduate school, not in elementary school. But I think that even the parents that are coming to these school board meetings and saying they don't want their kids to learn this, they're doing that out of fear. They don't want their kids to learn about racism in school. Okay, well, shouldn't the parents be teaching their children about this part of American history, no matter what background? All parents. Is that your view as well?
You know, what we should be teaching is truth. We held people in bondage. We had a brutal history, meaning America. There were masters and slaves. The Constitution did not grant us citizenship or even status as one human being, but we survived. And we had the Harriet Tubmans of the world, the Sojourner Truth of the world. We had the Frederick Douglass of the world. And so that is the beauty of America. We were resilient. We should tell that story. Brutality comes with survival and success. And then we need to tell the story that the day that we were freed shows America's compassion and love for freedom. The day of the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863, the president, Abraham Lincoln, who did not survive this period, indicated that a nation divided against itself cannot stand. And so Juneteenth is a reckoning that we wanted to survive as a nation, and we freed the slaves. That's a beautiful story, even in the backdrop of the brutality. And I hope as we go over and over again, Lee wants to have a Juneteenth museum. Al Edwards out of Houston, Texas, was the father of Juneteenth in the state of Texas. Those are good stories. And I worked on this for 12 years. First, as a commemorative acknowledgement, telling the story of Juneteenth. Now look where we are today. An amazing vote in the Senate and an actual vote in the House of Representatives, 415 persons. You know, I think the real question on this critical race theory is why we're so afraid of race. Why is it the third rail? When we are better, when we talk about it, when we understand it, and when we acknowledge that my race should not be any more difficult to discuss than the Pilgrim's Pride, then of course our friends who are truly Native Americans or Latinx or LGBTQ or the Asian community or the South Asian community. America, you're an experiment. Show the world your experiment is working. Juneteenth today, with tears in my eyes, when I made that gavel last night and today, shows America and shows the world that we can accept our difference and we can establish what freedom is all about. You know, the world admires that in us. Why shouldn't we run after it and grab it? Why shouldn't we pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act? Why shouldn't we fix the upside down voting rights that doesn't exist anymore because of 43 states plus? I wrote the Voting Rights Act and reauthorized it with my colleagues back in 2007, 2008, when George W. Bush signed it. Why can't we fix that? Why can't we pass a bill that talks about studying slavery and the disparities that exist today? Why can't we talk about social equity, social justice, and racial equity? This administration has begun this. I'm so glad the president said that if he looks back over his legacy, this may be the greatest honor for him that he's ever had, and that is establishing Juneteenth as the 11th holiday, federal holiday, and 38 years after Martin Luther King Jr.'s holiday.
The image of Vice President Kamala Harris holding Opal Lee's hand is beautiful.
Yes.
And it brought tears to my eyes today. Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, thank you so much for making the time tonight. Please stay safe.